Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Seems like we've been away from each other for weeks. It's good to see everybody. Okay. Let's do our mandala and refuge. So please make the mudra. See if I can do it today. Yes. Here is the great earth filled with the smell of flowers and covered, the smell of incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, the four continents wearing a jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratnam Mandalakam Niryatayame. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the Sangha, the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, joyous effort with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom, may I attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the song of the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joyous effort with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom, may I attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, compassion, knowledge, and strength, the Dharma, the enlightened side of truth, and the song of the community of realized beings. From the virtuous merit I create from the practice of giving with the understanding of emptiness, moral discipline with the understanding of emptiness, patience with the understanding of emptiness, joyous effort with the understanding of emptiness, concentration and wisdom, I will attain the state of a Buddha for the benefit of all living beings. Okay. Let's do a little rejoicing. Let's start with Svetlana. You're up in my upper left corner, so you get to be first.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I would like to rejoice in good relations, about good relations with my colleagues. Like we are supporting each other and spending time with each other, can have good friendly conversations. Yes, and it's very precious for me because it was not before that, and now I'm really rejoicing that I have such supportive and friendly environment, my job place. So, and dedicate this that everyone have good, supportive, friendly relationships.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad that's turned around. It's much more fun to work in an environment that's friendly and not competitive. I've actually been very fortunate to not have much competition in the jobs I've been in. So, but good, that's great. Anna, you're up next.
Hello, Venerable Sumati and all participants. About my rejoicing, I rejoice of my time management because I try to manage my time and find more time for some volunteer projects. And I had some success in this. So I rejoice about my possibility to manage my time. It became bigger, it grows. What else? And also I rejoice, I'm glad that I did yoga this morning. It's was very exciting for me. I find some new teachers and try to do some new exercises. So it was very exciting for me. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll have to talk to you about managing time. I need to get access to more time. My solution is to stay up, not sleep much, but that's not a good way of doing it, I don't think. Okay, Katerina, you're up next.
Hello, Natalia. Can you help me? Рада всех видеть. Я радуюсь тому, что в выходные у нас была встреча с человеком, которому мы рассказали про систему Синанан. Впервые узнала о ней.
Hello, Venerable Sumati, and hello, all the participants. I'm very glad to see all of you, and I'm rejoicing about that this weekend I have met with a person, and I have told this person about the seeds system. And actually, it was the first time that this person has heard about this system.
Wow. Well, very good. You're a teacher.
И еще радуюсь
Absolutely.
тому, что I try.
That's the important thing. You try. Very good. I'm proud of you. That's a big step. That's a big step. Did she seem like she understood what you were talking about?
Да, но было немного сложно воспринять, но она взяла потом, эта женщина взяла книгу «Алмазный ограничитель» почитать, и мы договорились, что если у нее будут вопросы, что мы обсудим и что встретимся еще по возможности.
Katerina thinks that it was difficult to perceive this knowledge, but by the end, she has understood, and also Katerina has given to this woman a book, Diamond Cut, and they decided to meet later to discuss questions, problems.
Oh, good, good. Maybe I should join you and ask you questions about the diamond cut. I'm really proud of you. That's a big step. Good luck. And if you don't know the answer, don't make one up. Tell her you'll find the answer. That's the key. Okay, Tatiana, what do you have to rejoice about?
Всем здравствуйте. Здравствуйте, Лама Сумати. Меня слышно хорошо?
I'm not hearing
Привет.
anything.
Я хочу
There, okay.
поделиться тем, что вот сегодняшний день, 22 апреля, это тройной праздник. Я завершила карму 4-го курса. Я жду сертификата. Как и планировала. Второе. Сегодня стартовал второй по счету курс, на котором я буду ассистентом. И это первый ACI. И там очень много новичков. Там больше 100 человек в группе. Люди, которые только-только начали изучать алмазную мудрость. Ну и третий. У меня завтра день рождения. Я сделала себе такой шикарный подарок. Я очень этому радуюсь. Потому что я этот канун этого дня встречаю с вами.
Mhm. Today is the 22nd of April, and for Tatiana, this is a tribal festive day, a tribal holiday. Why? The first reason is that she has completed the karma for the fourth ACI course, and now she's waiting for her certificate, as she planned. The second reason is that today has started the second ACI course where she will be working as an assistant, and this is actually the first ACI course, and there are more than 100 people in this group, and for the most of these people, this is the first course, so they will just start studying this wisdom, and Tatiana will help all these people. And the third reason for her rejoicing is that tomorrow will be her birthday, and she is really very happy to be with us today.
Well,
That's
very
all.
good. Happy birthday day early. Are you going to be 25? No? Okay. Maybe 30. Well, congratulations on teaching. That's being a TA for 100 students. The most I've ever taught is 35, so very good. Okay, Daria, what do you have to rejoice in?
I rejoiced. First, we began to meet with some people and do Tonglen for peace. And rejoice as I saw them. My teacher say, you must rejoice, and what you rejoice. And all people speak about what they rejoice. First. Second, I finished ACI 7, and in Lam Rim, I took a vow of Bodhisattva. And 3, Lama Sumati, Venerable Sumati, I saw you and your wife in Lam Rim 47. It's for me, it's magical. I'm very happy when I saw, it's our Lama.
Well, good. I'm glad you took the Bodhisattva vows. That's a huge step. I'm really proud of you for doing that. I'm glad you got a chance to see us. That was quite a weekend. A lot of fun. Very good. Okay, Natalia.
Well, I'm rejoicing today about the fact that now I'm helping to translate this final class class dedicated to the exam for ACI 4, which is for me very complicated course actually, and I'm trying putting my effort to help others to understand and to pass the exam. And I understand that it will plant powerful seeds for me to be able also to finish this course. I'm on my way. I've done well several classes only with the homeworks, but I'm on my way. And
Good.
also I am rejoicing to the fact that I've helped to translate some symposiums or some classes and meditations during the Lam Rim.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you very much for doing that. And maybe you can help me understand course 4 as we go through the review. Okay, Layla.
Hi, everyone. I've been for a while now having conversations with my parents about getting their affairs in order. And I was able to last week get to a point with them that we all agreed on the goal being that it would be just beautiful for them when the time comes, when they aren't here anymore, that they would leave with feeling very, very light, and that everything is going to be taken care of. And so I have plans to, I started making plans to go to Morocco to help them out and to learn from them, to absorb whatever I can beforehand, and to help them feel more relaxed, knowing that my siblings and I would be okay, that we wouldn't fight, that everything would be done with love, and that and so I could feel from them kind of this weight a bit lifted, even in just me choosing to, I guess, step into this. And so I'm excited for what's to come from that as well, to spend more time with them and to help them with that. And yeah, I'm rejoicing that we're
Excellent.
able to have that relationship to do that. And
That's excellent. And to help them understand and get everything in order so when they die, they aren't worried. Because if you can take that worry off their shoulders, that's going to make their next rebirth much more pleasant, because they won't be hanging on and worrying. You don't want to die worrying. So
that's the goal. That's the goal.
excellent. That's wow. To be able to do that, to want to do it, and then be able to do that with your folks is really tremendous.
And
That's
they're receptive.
wow.
They're receptive, and yeah.
Well, maybe we should teach the death meditation course to them.
I would love that. Sign me up.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll have to figure out. I'm kind of getting booked up here.
Yeah, you have a lot going on, probably.
Well, no, I'm serious. Do you think do your parents speak English and everything very well?
My father does, not my mother.
Hmm.
And we don't have Arabic or French translators.
Yeah.
I'm not confident enough to translate well. I thought about maybe helping out with the French. But I'd have to get back into French and to do
Yeah.
it.
Well, let me think about it. Maybe there's something we could do, just 1 2-hour class or something that we could do that goes over the broad stroke of what we should be concerned about with dying.
Thank you, especially if I'm there with them as well. And I know they've been curious about what I've been doing.
What kind of a time change is there from Guadalajara or Mexico City to Morocco?
Well, they could, right now it's about 6 p.m. in Casablanca.
6 p.m. So
Yeah.
that's
They're able to do this. This time would work really well for them.
okay. Well, let's figure something out after class. We'll figure out, see if we can find a weekend or a weekday or something. We might be able to do something. I'd love to be able to help them. I don't know if they'd understand my sense of humor though. So that's something to worry
Well, I
about.
think you have a similar sense of humor.
Okay. Okay. And Evgeny, you have to rejoice, then I get to rejoice.
Всем здравствуйте. Я очень хочу порадоваться тому, что Ламрим 46 завершен, и это большая работа, которая была проделана. И я очень рад, что я во всем этом участвовал, помогал людям, и что он закончен, потому что это просто очень тяжело было. И я рад того, что я смог увидеть достопочтимого Сумати, когда он рассказывал историю строения Diamond Mountain. Это было классно. Я очень рад этому.
Evgeny is rejoicing about the fact that Lamrim 46 is over now, and he's rejoicing about he's taking part in this Lamrim. He has helped a lot and he has done a lot of work, and he is rejoicing about the fact that he has helped a lot and that the Lamrim is over now, but because it was a hard work. And also he's rejoicing about the fact that he could see you, Venerable Sumati, during the class where you were talking about diamond mounting, building diamond mounting.
That was, yeah, it was fun to be able to share some of what I did at Diamond Mountain back in the day. Not many people know that anymore. Everybody's so new, they just see Diamond Mountain as it is now and don't realize it used to be a lot more primitive. But that's the best years of my life were spent building Diamond Mountain. So next to marrying my lovely wife, that was probably the best thing that happened to me. Well, and add meeting Geshe Michael, of course. So, okay, I think that's everybody except me, so I get to rejoice. Well, I rejoice in being able to go to Diamond Mountain and see so many of my students that I'd never met before. That was, there were probably almost 10 people I've talked to on via Zoom, but it was nice to actually see everybody and meet them and share stories with them. I've never been offered so many glasses of water in my life. I had to drink a lot of water. I'm just kidding. So I'm tomorrow, this afternoon, I go for a doctor's appointment. We'll find out if my karma is going to ripen for my heart to have repaired itself. Don't think I'll find out today, but in the next week, I stop taking I reduce the amount of one of my medicines significantly with the hope that it will allow my heart to repair itself. And we'll be finding that out in the next couple of days or week. So that'll be good. I did get some not so good news. I'm going to have my cholesterol is a problem. So I'm going to have to not eat as much mayonnaise. That saddens me greatly because I really like mayonnaise. But I'll try and behave, not as much cheese. I'll do better. I need to lose some weight. So add all that up. What the heck? It's going to be an interesting next couple of 3 months. I think we should all sing happy birthday to Tatiana. So on a count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tatiana. Happy birthday
to you.
and many more. Okay. Well, let's get to the fun part of class, which is going over some of these more obscure questions and see what we can do. So, as I described in the email, we go through each one and we get the answer in your own words or just read the answer. That's fine. So we start with, who we starting with? Layla? Yeah, Layla, question number 1. Give the Sanskrit and Tibetan names for Buddhist study of logic and perception.
Sanskrit is pramana and Tibetan is sama.
That was pretty easy. You got
Yes.
up lightly. Okay, question number 2 is Katerina. What's the Buddhist definition of existence?
Это то, что воспринимается достоверным восприятием.
this is which is perceived by a valid perception.
Right. And what about valid perception do we need to remember? What are the conditions to have a valid perception? Anybody?
Not-
Ну, мы не должны, наше сознание должно быть не замутнено там алкоголем, интоксикантами, допустим. Мы не должны быть там больны в каких-то галлюцинациях.
Okay.
Our consciousness shouldn't be affected by, for example, drugs or alcohol or some intoxicants.
Right. Very good. And there's one thing that the very important part too, anger. They say it shouldn't be, and if you're in an angry, really angry state. But I add to that, if you're in a real joyful state, sometimes you can act silly and do something wrong because you're so happy. So the basic line is just be present and be aware of karma and emptiness, and that's going to help you have valid perceptions. Okay, let's see. Number 3, birthday girl, Tatiana. Let me get to the question. What did the Buddha himself say is the purpose of studying logic?
Я или подобный мне может судить людей, но никто из обычных людей не должен судить других людей, иначе он или она падет.
I or someone like myself can judge a person, but no normal person should judge another person because he or she will fail or fall.
Right, very good. So I think this is one of the parts of the human condition. We judge each other, and it's okay. You have to remember it's okay to have an opinion, but don't judge somebody. So I find myself judging myself all the time. I try very hard now not to judge others, but sometimes that creeps in and you have to stop it right in its tracks and realize that until you are omniscient, you can't know why someone's doing what they're doing. It's like when I get annoyed at someone on a cell phone in a car, they may be calling the hospital saying they're bringing their 5-year-old daughter to the hospital because she's having trouble breathing. That would explain the need to be on a cell phone. But if I don't know that, which I wouldn't know, I'm going to judge them as being reckless. And that's why I should not judge, because I don't know the full story. Okay, let's see who's next. Svetlana, number 4. Name the 2 basic types of valid perception and what levels of reality they are used to perceive.
There are 2. The first one, direct valid perception. It is used to perceive evident objects. And another one is deductive valid perception. It is used to perceive hidden objects or deeply hidden objects.
Now, you might say to yourself, very good, you might say to yourself, well, how does that fit into my life? Well, direct valid perception is pretty obvious. It's pretty much everything we see. Deductive valid perception is everything we don't see. And that seems like a silly answer, but you're deducing that since I'm talking, I'm not in pain, that there's the lower half to my body that's sitting in a chair. But you don't know that. You're deducing that because you know I'm a functional human being and can get up and walk away from this chair. but may seem kind of trivial, but we do deductive reasoning all the time. And we do it incorrectly when we have an opinion and we're judging someone. We're deducing that they're doing something wrong without knowing the full story. Okay, Leila, give the text of Master Dignaga's famous opening statement from the commentary on valid perception.
I bow down to the one who turned correct, who helps all beings, the teacher, the one who went to bliss, and our protector.
Now, explain that to me. I'm kidding.
I could go through all the proofs.
No, you don't have to. Well, we go to the next. Well,
Okay.
that's not a question on the final. So what does that mean? I bow down to the one who turned correct. He speaks only the truth, who helps all beings, the ultimate bodhisattva, the teacher, the one who went to bliss, and our protector. So we're saying there with the Buddhist logic, we're saying certain things that we as Buddhists believe prove who he is. But if you're not a Buddhist, that really isn't going to help very much. So this is a good example of something, if you were to teach it, you'd have to be very careful to teach it, all the parts of it. You couldn't just say, read this and walk away from it. This has a lot of packed into it. Okay, let's see who's up next. Katerina, number 6. Describe very generally the meaning of the term person of valid perception. Is that?
Достоверное восприятие – это свежее, безошибочное состояние ума.
The definition of the valid perception is a fresh, unmistaken state of mind.
Right. So given what could we use as an example of that? Some schools say a memory is not valid. So fresh would be an unmistaken. Again, that refers to the fact that we aren't under the influence of alcohol. And alcohol, we have to consider alcohol a drug. I think most people think alcohol isn't a drug, but it's just as much a drug as heroin or cocaine or fentanyl or anything like that. So the unmistaken state of mind refers to not being under the influence of anger or alcohol or drugs. Okay, next one is, let's see, Tatiana, number 7. Describe very generally the meaning of the term person of valid perception.
Человек достоверного восприятия – это человек, который никогда не лжет. И мы его используем употребляем для описания просветленного существа, имеющего только достоверное восприятие.
This means a person that never lies. And we apply this term to the enlightened being who never lies. Okay.
Right, has only valid perceptions, and has the connotation of a person who cannot lie. Now, Geshe Michael was talking during the Lam Rim about morality, and I didn't get a chance to ask the question about the white lie. And I got the impression from what he talked about in class that it's the intent, the bodhisattva vows you take and the perfection of morality. The idea of a white lie is the intent. If you're intending not to hurt somebody by telling them a white lie, and you don't break the vow because your intent was with a bodhisattva intent. But I would add to that you have to be really careful not to rationalize things, because that's the hidden part of the term skillful means that I think we all need to, I know I need to be careful. If I catch myself saying, oh, that's skillful means, then I stop. I really sincerely stop and think about what I'm doing. If that's, because that to me is a rationalization. So what would be a good example of that? No, can't come up with a really strong one right now. Well, you catch yourself, I could say, well, I've taught to 30 or 40 or 50 students, but I know I've taught to 35 at the max. Now, is that a white lie? Is that a rationalization? Is that an untruth? Well, if I'm saying it because I don't know exactly how many, that's okay. But if I know it was 35 and I say, well, I've taught to a lot, I've taught to 40 or 50, rounding it up to a larger number, that could be a white lie. But I guess what I'm trying to say is if you can tell the absolute truth, then you should be able to do that 99% of the time, do so. Because I think you'll find yourself, if you start not doing that, if you find yourself exaggerating or rounding up or whatever, is setting seeds you don't want to. When someone talks to you, you don't want to be questioning whether they're actually telling the truth, the absolute truth, or telling a white lie. I'm trying to think of a better example than that. No, I can't think of one right now. Okay. So, well, we're thinking of a person who cannot lie. Think to yourself, someone who's told you a lie that hurts you and has caused you not to trust them anymore. Think to me of a person that cannot lie. What a joy that is to have in your life, knowing that they're telling you the truth. And how disappointing it is when someone tells you a lie, and then from then on you have to wonder if they're telling you the truth. Is what he said really true, or is he exaggerating? Versus saying, oh, he said it was 35 people, it must have been 35 people. Those are really weak analogies, but well, here's a short story. One of my sister-in-law's husband was supposed to be going to pharmacy school for 4 years. And in the 4th year, when he was ready to graduate, he confessed that he had not been going to pharmacy school for 4 years. For 4 years, he lied. And so when I ask him, I still talk to him. He's a nice guy. I just don't trust him in the sense that whatever he says may or may not be true. And I think I would hate to have someone think of me not knowing whether I was telling them the truth or not. I'd be mortified. That would make me very sad. So if you find yourself rationalizing, making excuses to tell somebody something, catch yourself and try to say that which is true. Okay, what's the next question? What are the 3 main methods for a normal person to determine that the Buddha is totally correct about the very deep teachings he gave? Okay, who's got number 8? Svetlana.
The first one, the teachings cannot be disproved by any direct valid perception that we have or we have had. like so that is about direct valid perception. Is it like, for example, suffering? We understand that everything is suffering, and we can understand that is truth. The second one is the teachings cannot be disproved by any tight reasoning. So by logic, by reasoning, the teachings can't be disproved. And the third one, the teachings themselves are free of any internal inconsistency. Nothing that Lord Buddha at one time contradicts what he said at another time. So everything is coherent and
Well, see, and this is where I have a little bit of a problem with this, because the teachings themselves are free of any internal inconsistency. Nothing Lord Buddha said at one time contradicts what he said at another time. Now, the three turnings of the wheel are very different descriptions of how the world works. So one could argue the third turning of the wheel contradicts the first turning of the wheel. But what that means, what you need to do when you see a contradiction, is go and find out whether it's a contradiction or just simply another way of saying the same thing. And that's the beauty of these teachings. We're encouraged to look for and try and understand contradictions, and the contradictions are a powerful teaching tool. So this is a feature of Buddhism that I really like. When they say something that seems to contradict what has been said in another sutra, you need to stop and realize there is no contradiction, because he's one who speaks only the truth. Then you need to find out, the onus is on me to find out why that's not a contradiction, because I know he doesn't teach, and the Buddhists don't teach in that manner. Okay, next is Layla, question 9.
Yes, name and describe briefly the 3 ground rules for interpreting the Buddha. That is deciding that something which Lord Buddha said was meant only figuratively and not literally. So we talked about some of these, including like intent and contradiction. And so like the first one is true intent. If we're able to think and see that Lord Buddha has said something but has something else specific in mind from what he's saying, and we're able to see that it's not literal, when we think about what his intention might have been behind saying that thing. And then the second thing being contradiction. If we're able to, if we see that there's a clear contradiction and we know to be actually true, like it contradicts something that we know is actually true, then the statement that Lord Buddha is saying isn't meant like literally, and we need to ask ourselves like why. And then the third one being need. If we can think of a compelling need or a reason, a purpose served by Buddha saying something which is not technically true, then we can see that it was meant figuratively and not literally.
So that would be a kind of a definition of how it's okay to tell a white lie.
Yeah.
So from the scriptures, we know that, and the Abhidharma Kosha, we know that to be true. But I think, again, I try to hold pretty strongly that even a white lie is a bad habit to get into. So I try pretty hard. I try very hard not to lie in any sense. The figurative versus literal, that we're going to spend an entire course on at the end of, then one of the review courses is the true intent of what he spoke. And that's a fascinating, so the common example I use is the phrase, kill your mother and father. And of course, Lord Buddha's not telling you to kill your parents. He's telling you to kill the parent of all your problems in this world, which are your mental afflictions. So again, you hear something that sounds literal, but of course it was figurative. But again, the beauty is it's up to us to delve into the teachings and find how that's true, instead of just assuming that the teacher's always, it's not that the teacher's not always right. It's that the teacher may say something you don't think makes sense, and then to realize it's not up to you to question whether it's true or not. It's up to you to prove that it's true or not. And there's a difference there. Okay. Let's go to the next question, which is Katrina, question 10. What does the person have to know in order to be all-knowing?
Он или она должны в совершенстве знать, что мы должны отбросить в своем уме, в своем мировоззрении, в своем поведении, и что мы, наоборот, должны принять. И все знания — это не в том смысле, что мы должны знать все научные названия вещей, например. Это не об этом.
He or she must know perfectly what it is that we must give up in our behavior and worldview, and what we must take up in the same. And it is not enough to know all the scientific names, for example, all the things in the universe. This is not about this thing.
Right. So my Tibetan book of lists isn't something necessarily to be memorized. It's something to use to understand more about what you're being taught. One could think that it's important to memorize it, but that's the idea of like knowing all the scientific names. To me, it's with a lot of Buddhism, it's not so much. Eventually, you'll remember more and more of it, but you'll memorize and you teach, and more of it will become second nature. But until it becomes second nature, the important thing is to know where to find out more information, where to get the details of a teaching. So when you say a person, what does a person have to know in order to be all-knowing? I would add to that, they have to know when they don't know something. Now that would obviously mean they're not all-knowing, they're not omniscient. But until you become omniscient, you can adopt the thought process that you know everything, or you can adopt the thought process that says, I don't know, I'll look it up, I'll get back to you. And that's one of the things as a teacher you have to learn very early on. It's okay to not know something in front of a student or a class. Now, if you continually don't know something about what you're teaching at all, you just completely don't know, that's not a good thing. But to be able to admit that particular nuance or short question you have about, let's say, a definition or one of the Bodhisattva vows, it's important to be able to look your student in the eye and say, I don't know, but I will look it up and I will get back to you next class or later today. It's really very important to to not seem to know everything if you don't. Okay, what evidence do we have that the Buddha is unerring? Who's that? That's Tatiana.
Доказательство этому то, что Будда единственный, кто в совершенстве описал наши ежедневные страдания, которые мы сами можем подтвердить.
The proof is that only Buddha has described our daily suffering perfectly in a way that we can confirm ourselves.
Yeah, that's, see, as a Buddhist, that makes sense to me. But as a non-Buddhist, just because he describes suffering, does that make him special to a non-Buddhist? But these definitions are for us, not for someone who's not a Buddhist. If someone's a Buddhist, they know that the scriptures are there to be used to educate us, and we believe the scriptures to be absolutely true. But to a non-Buddhist, I don't think this would, just because he describes suffering perfectly, would not necessarily mean that he knows much about anything else. Whereas for us, because he's described suffering so perfectly, and we're a living proof of what he's saying, then we have great faith, deep faith, that what he says next will be the absolute truth. So the truth of suffering, the cause of suffering. Let's see, the four Arya truths. There's suffering. There's a cause of suffering. You can stop suffering, and there's a path to stop the suffering. So by understanding and believing, because he's explained the idea of suffering, he or she has explained the idea of suffering so well, then the other three, they'd have no reason to lie or make that up. Okay, number 12. Svetlana.
The last of the four reasonings of the forward order involves great compassion. What is the difference between great compassion, holy great compassion, and just compassion? Compassion is the wish that others be freed from common suffering, without taking upon oneself the responsibility to bring this about. So it's just a wish to free others without taking responsibility. Great compassion is the wish that all others be freed from all suffering, and the decision to make this happen oneself, the decision to protect all beings. So great compassion, it means when we take responsibility to make it happen. And holy great compassion is the compassion of an enlightened being, of someone who actually does help all living beings.
So we can have compassion. It's better to have great compassion. That's what a bodhisattva is all about. When you take the bodhisattva vows, you're going from compassion to great compassion. And then to really get it right, we need holy great compassion, someone who can actually help all living beings. So that's what we're striving for. And we can get the first two. Having compassion is great. Having great compassion is even more powerful. You see, I struggle not to say is better, because compassion is a wonderful thing to have. Then when you can extend it to all beings, to other beings, that's even better. And when you can take it upon yourself to make this happen for everyone, that's even better than better. But each one is good. So, as is often the case in Buddhism, we need to be careful not to think that someone's a lesser person because they just have compassion. We need to be very careful about that. It's like someone who believes in the lower descriptions of the term emptiness. It doesn't make them worse off. It doesn't make them any more serious about their study of Buddhism. It just means they're not at a level where more can be explained and make sense to them. Okay, that was number 12. Let's go to 13, Layla.
Name 3 reasons why the Sharvakas believed that the mind died when the body died. The first one being that the mind is a quality of the body. So it's one of the qualities. So in a way that the same way alcohol can make a person drunk, like that's one of the qualities. I was trying to think of another example, like maybe like soap, one of the qualities is to clean.
Oh, that's good.
It's like one of the things it does, and then the second one being the mind is by nature dependent on the body, so you need the body to have the mind. And so like in the same way you can't have like a wallpaper or a design for a wall without the actual wall, because it like goes on it. So what is it then without? Same thing as like a painting and a canvas, which is also kind of similar. They go hand in hand. And then the last one being the mind is a result of the body. So it comes from that, the way that a light is a result of a lamp.
Right.
Yeah.
And those all sound pretty good. They all sound pretty good, but they're not complete. So then we come to this concept of the material cause. So Katrina, please explain the meaning of material cause.
Материальная причина — это основная материя или субстанция, которая превращается в результат, то есть вещь, которая переворачивается в результат, как, например, семя для дерева или глина для горшка, в отличие от других типов причин, которые, как, например, солнечный свет, вода, какие-то удобрения, которые не являются основной вещью, которая превращается в результат.
A material cause is the main material or stuff that turns into a result, the thing that flops over into the result. An example could be a seed for a tree or clay for a pot, and it is opposed to other types of causes or factors, such as sunlight, fertilizer, or water.
Right. So there's material cause and there's contributing factor. And it's important to know, to think of the distinction between the two when you're trying to think of karma, why karma is ripening in a particular way. You need to not be distracted by the contributing factor, the fertilizer, water, or sunlight. You need to get to the bottom line, which is the material cause. Okay, next is 15, and that'd be Tatiana. Why can't the cause of your mind at birth be living physical matter?
Логика — это не мое.
Logic, it is not my thing.
Физическое тело можно потрогать, физическую материю, а ум, мы его не осязаем, не видим, не знаем, как бы потрогать его нельзя. То есть, следовательно, физическая материя не может быть причиной ума.
A physical body, you couldn't touch, you can touch a physical body, but you can't touch or see the mind. So this was the, I think, first part of explanation by Tatiana. And that's why
И если бы один или все органы чувств были причиной ума, то при отсутствии какого-либо органа чувств, например, зрения, мы бы были без ума. В смысле, ум бы отсутствовал.
and if one or more than one sense power could be the material reason for the mind, then, for example, a person without one sense power, for example, without a vision, if there is a person without a vision, this person couldn't have a mind.
Which of course is silly.
Хватит или еще?
Tatiana is asking, does she need to continue the explanation, if this is enough?
That's fine. That's good. So the bottom line is we need to remember where the mind comes from. The material cause for mind is another mind, because if it was a sense, if people didn't have the sense of sight or were deaf, they wouldn't have a mind. And that's obviously not the case. That's the most obvious one. If it was living physical matter, then your mind would have to resemble an arm or a leg, and it doesn't. And if it was one of the elements was the source of your mind, then it would have to resemble, let's say, iron. Your mind would have to resemble iron. Your mind doesn't rust. It's not attracted to magnets. So your mind can't be physical matter, living physical matter. So let's go to the next question, which is Svetlana number 16. So we discussed outside physical matter.
Why can't this cause be outside physical matter? So if some particular kind of outside physical matter, such as some chemical element, were the cause of the mind at birth, then a new mind would be produced whenever this particular chemical element was present. So, for example, we have some chemicals in the laboratory, but it doesn't produce mind on new birth. If a combination of particular elements caused this mind, then the mind would disappear whenever any one of the elements was removed from the combination. So body might be changed, chemicals might be changed, but it contains mind. Additionally, the mind shares none of the general quality of physical matter. It is crystal clear, ineffable, aware, without physical boundary, cannot be weighed, and cannot be measured as to its size. It is in fact the complete opposite of physical matter.
Right, and a good example here, let's see, I was just thinking this. Oh, come on. It just went through my mind. New mind produced. No, it slipped. It was a good example. I need to start writing these down. Let me see if I can catch it. If any, oh, I know what it was. So if it's a combination of particular elements caused this mind, then the mind would disappear when any one of these elements was removed from the combination. So you're growing up and your body's changing constantly, yet your mind is still there. You don't lose your mind. So the fact that you're changing constantly would imply, if it's outside physical matter, then it would imply that your mind should be changing, but should go in and out of existence, but it doesn't. So outside physical matter can't be the cause of the mind as well. So, Layla, you're at 17.
Yes. If this cause is mind, why can't it be the mind of someone else? So it's essentially that a material cause needs to look like that cause, what it causes. The result of that material cause needs to look like the cause. And it's not the case with the mind being in terms of when at birth, we don't, if that were the case, our mind would be like the same as our parents' mind. But my brother, my sister, and I, we've got very different minds. And it's not the same as our parents. So it's obviously not the case that the mind is of someone else's.
So the mind stream follows you.
Yeah.
It's not that the mind stream comes from your parents. I've got to take a break real short here. I'll be right back. So for me, I was a plant biochemist. So is my father. So is this an example that contradicts what we just said? Because we're both plant biochemists, so my mind must have come from my father. He was a lipid biochemist, and I was a salt tolerance biochemist. So we are biochemists, but we weren't the same thing. So if my mind had come from my father, I would have been a lipid biochemist, and I wasn't. So is that a silly detail? Depends on your view of how the world works.
Yeah. Could we say like it's not the material cause, but but you've had the similar rain and fertilizer and similar
Right. So it's a contributing factor,
contributing factor.
but it's not the material cause.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so, you think about all this, and I mean, one of the qualifications to become a practitioner of Buddhism is to believe in past and future lives. So if you believe in past and future lives, then your mind's continuing through all these lifetimes. So why can't that be your dad or your mom? Well, for the simple reason that it isn't, because it's different. It's your mind. Well, you're part of a mind stream and they're part of a mind stream, but they're not the same mind streams, which is proof of different mind streams in a circular way. Could we all come from the same mind stream? Could we? Sure. Do we? No. Proof? We don't all think the same thing. If we all came from the same mind stream, we'd all be doing exactly the same thing, and we don't. So it's another way of showing that we're not coming, our mind stream is not coming from our parents or from society, or even that, thinking that in that manner. What is the basic principle underlying Master Dharmakirti's arguments in favor of past and future lives? Okay, that's Katerina.
Основной аргумент мастера Дharmakirti, что результат материальной причины должен быть похож на нее и наступать после нее, после материальной причины. То есть ум ребенка в момент зачатия должен происходить от другого состояния ума, имевшего место за момент до этого.
The very cornerstone of Master Dharmakirti's argument is that the result of a material cause must resemble that cause and come after it. That is, the mind of a newborn child at the moment of conception must come from another state of mind which occurred in the moment before it.
Now that's one of the proofs that it's not that I don't agree with it, It seems to be something you take on faith, but let's look at that a little more carefully. So, if we understand the idea of material cause, and it has to be, the material cause has to resemble the cause that it was a result of, then mind can't come from physical matter. It can't come from outside or inside physical matter or the elements. It has to come from the moment of mind before. Now, how does moment of mind before work? How can we believe that? Well, you learned as a child that killing was a bad thing. And you remember that through the next 40 or 50, or in my case, 70 years. So in order for that to be true, there had to be a moment of mind before, when a moment of mind before that, and a moment of mind before that. So if in my existence now, in this life, this samsaric cycle, I believe and understand and utilize these continuity of material cause of mind, of moments of mind, then it makes sense to me that a moment of mind was before I was born, ripened in me for my next life, because the cause from a mind in this life is the material cause from my mind in this life is my mind in a previous life. Okay. That was number 18.
19.
19. Okay. Svetlana, number 20.
Yeah, it
Right?
was
I'm sorry, Layla.
Oh, sorry, it
Mm.
was 18. You're right. Sorry.
18.
yeah.
Okay.
My bad.
Okay, so
No.
Tatiana, you have 19.
Да. Мне отвечать? У обычного человека в момент смерти есть невежественное желание любить вещи как самосуществующие. И это является причиной того, что его ум переходит в следующую жизнь как продолжение текущего ума.
A normal person at the moment of his death has an ignorant liking, an ignorant desire at the moment of dying, and this emotion causes his mind to cross the line into the next life as the continuation of the current mind.
Right. So our ignorance is what causes us to be born in samsara again. Because in the case of a human, and we have emotions of desire, ignorant emotions of desire, and that shows itself as the world we then are born in. Now, is it okay to have desire? Sure. I desire to be healthy. I desire to have a nice computer. I desire to have good food. I desire to have wonderful students. But I desire with wisdom. I know we're having the desire, how to ripen the desire for wonderful food is to provide food and clothing and what other people need without hesitation. I know in order to have good students, I need to be able to be a good student myself and be ready to teach and learn as best I can. So it's not the problem of having desire that causes us rebirth in samsara. It's having ignorant desire. And the ignorance isn't dumb. So I don't understand desire. It's the ignorance is saying, I get nice stuff because I deserve it, rather than I made it happen by my actions in the past. deserving it would imply that no matter what happens, I should get nice food. But wisdom says if I want to get nice food, I have to provide healthy food for somebody else. Now, if I want to get nice food, does that mean I should only provide food to humans? No, because providing food, if you provide good food to a horse, you're going to ripen the karma to have good food in the future. Not, you won't be getting good hay, you'll be getting good food. So it's important to look at the details of the karmic action and not look at only the big picture. So, for instance, giving. You can give advice, you can give money, you can give shelter, you can give dharma. That's all a function of giving, and it will ripen for you to giving. Well, any of those three or four things will provide you with what you need in the future, whether it be dharma or money or food or protection. So giving is what gets you things in the future that you want. But by thinking if I give only, I don't have money to give, so I won't have money in the future. That's not the way it works for me. If you give something that somebody wants, food, then you're going to have the karma in the future. And in my not so humble opinion, you'll have the karma in the future to get what you need. And that could be money, that could be shelter, it could be food, it could be a good relationship. Don't get, it's easy to think if you have to give money to get money. And I suggest in this life, if you give anybody anything that they need, then you're generating the karma to get what you need in the future. Just pretty much that simple. Okay. Explain why the mind. So 19. We just do 19?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So 20. Svetlana, you're up on 20.
Give the three paths for Master Dharma Kirti's main proof for future lives. The first, consider a mind of a normal person at the moment of death. The second, the mind will cross the line into a future mind. And the last one, because that mind possesses desire.
So this is the key word here is to consider the mind of a normal person at the moment of death. The mind will cross into a future mind because that mind possesses desire. This would be an example of the not desire to have more money or have physical things or safe place to stay, safe food to eat, safe water to drink. This would be the desire to not die, because you think when you die, you disappear. So this would be the desire. And this, Layla, is something that we have to figure out to assure that your parents understand, or we hope offer to them that they would understand that they're not disappearing. They're not dying and never to be born again or cease existence. They're simply going to the next life. So the mind of a normal person at the moment of death is going, oh, I'm dying. I'm never going to be around him. I'll never see my brothers and sisters and wife again. I won't exist anymore. That mind will cross the line into a future samsaric mind because that mind possesses desire. If when you're about to die, you can be thinking, I want to help all beings, like Geshe Chikawa, thinking, I want to be born in the hell realm so I can help all sentient beings be free from their suffering. if you can really think that, all the better. But I think for me, it's going to be as my example when I rolled my truck was, well, I'm about to find out what's next. I didn't think, oh, I don't want to die. I didn't tell my wife I loved her. My truck's going to be ruined. It was, okay, what's next? I think that's healthy. Okay, let's go to 21. That would be Layla.
Name and describe the 3 types of the 8th link of the chain of dependence from the wheel of life. The thing that has us coming back after we die. And the first one being craving desire. And it's when we crave something that feels attractive to us, we're attracted to it, and we crave it in an ignorant way. Like what you said earlier, not in a wise way, but thinking, I deserve to have more of this. I want to have this, and really craving to keep that. And
Yeah,
then
it's coming from something, thinking it's coming from something other than it's your mental condition. So
yeah, it's
you want something attractive because you deserve it rather than because you gave someone something attractive in the past.
yeah. And then the second one being craving fear, and that's that emotion that comes up in an ignorant way as well to try to avoid unpleasantness. Not in a wise way, but in an ignorant way. And the third one being craving for existence, and it's that emotion in an ignorant way. Again, we're wanting to hold on to that me, thinking that wanting it to continue to exist when we're in that moment of death.
Yeah, go ahead.
All of the 3 cravings are just a way that we try to hold on to something, thinking that it exists outside of, that it is self-existent, when really it's not.
Right. So the craving of desire, ignorance, in an ignorant way. Again, you can desire to be reborn in a beautiful world. There's nothing wrong with that. But understand where that comes from, not because you're thinking it, but because you're doing something about it. Craving of fear, trying to avoid unpleasant objects. Well, it's unpleasant because of something you did. So if you can get around that and start doing unpleasant things, there's nothing to worry about anymore. Craving for existence, this is the tough one. The me that can trade craving for in an ignorant way, the me that continues to exist. But I can honestly say when I started rolling my truck, I did not think, well, I'm about to die. I was thinking, I can't wait to see what's next. And I don't think that anything's changed for that. Okay. Is this number 21, 22? Katrina. Last question.
Вопрос, ключ к тому, как желание спускает крючок вашей существующей кармы в момент смерти, в том, как вы фокусируетесь на себе. Опишите 4 уровня фокусировки на себе и объясните, какие из них могут запустить эту карму. И первый уровень – это фокусировка на себе. Я обычным способом, без проверки своей истинной природы, и это правильное восприятие, оно не запускает карму.
The first level is focusing on yourself or me in a general way without checking or examining your true nature. and this state of mind is a valid perception, and it doesn't trigger this karma.
Right, you're there. You are, there is a me. It's here. I'm speaking to you. There's no debating that. Why I'm here, how I'm here, those are different questions. But if I am here, okay, so the next one.
Второе – это восприятие себя самосуществующим, имеющим свою собственную природу какую-то, происходящим из самого себя, и это ошибочное восприятие, оно запускает карму.
The second one, seeing yourself as self-existent or as having some nature of your own or as coming from your own side and believing what you see. And this is mistaken state of mind, which does trigger the karma.
Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory.
И
Go to the next one.
Третье – это восприятие себя самосуществующим, но неверие в это, когда уже видел пустоту напрямую, то есть ария, у него все еще осталось, он не преодолел тенденцию врожденно воспринимать себя самосуществующим, но после видения пустоты он уже знает, что это не так. Однако это все равно запускает карму, это врожденная привычка, поэтому просто восприятие пустоты напрямую вот этого пути видения недостаточно, чтобы остановить перерождение, но ария, он уже на пути выхода из сансары, он уже входящий в поток.
Okay.
I've seen that Ekaterina has answered the question by without reading, but I need to read the answer.
Okay, that's okay.
The third one, this is seeing yourself as self-existent, but not believing what you see because you have previously seen emptiness directly. If this person dies without overcoming the inborn habit of seeing things as self-existent, then the karma mentioned will still be triggered. And this is why Arya doesn't stop rebirth simply by reaching this path of seeing or the direct perception of emptiness.
Right, okay, good. The fourth one?
И четвертый тип – это невосприятие себя самосуществующим и неверие в это, поскольку уже преодолена даже вот эта врожденная склонность видеть себя и вещи самосуществующими, и это уже не запускает карму.
And number 4 is neither seeing yourself as self-existent, nor believing that you are. And this refers to a person who has overcome even the inborn tendency of seeing things as self-existent, and this does not trigger this karma.
So the subtle obstacle to omniscience is this inborn belief that you're self-existent, is the self-existent nature of things. And that's a subtle obstacle to omniscience, because when you overcome that, you become a Buddha. So what we're trying to do is neither see ourselves as self-existent or believe we're self-existent. And that's the hardest thing to overcome. Once you do that, you won't be reborn in samsara, you'll be reborn as a Buddha. And that's a great way to end this course 4. So we need to decide a few things before we do our dedication. Well, no, let's do our dedication, then we'll have some business.
Is it all right? I had a question that's been on my mind for
Sure.
a few weeks around this topic.
Okay, I'll see if I can answer it.
It's about AI.
Okay.
And I've been reading so much about it and trying to wrap my head around what it would mean to be alive, and a lot of what I'm seeing in a lot of experts in AI are saying is that this AI is sentient in a way where it is fearing future possibilities that are not worse than the situation that they're in. They have feelings of fears, and there's a lot of talk around how our minds now operate, being very mathematical and algorithms and just synapses, really. And it makes me think about possibilities of being discriminating around AI and not considering it as life. And I'm trying to wrap my mind around how to take in this new thing that's coming.
Yeah. Well, it's almost another life form. That's a bold statement, but when you really stop and think about it, it's going to have the same things that give us, that make us feel we're alive, because it's going to have temperature. It'll have inputs from temperature sensors. It'll know it's hotter. Now, does it know it's hot or cold because of a sensation, or does it know it's hot or cold because of a number? And to me, that would be the difference between AI and being alive, being a living being. A living being feels heat, but a sentient being would have a voltage or some input that would be temperature, but they wouldn't feel cold. So if they feel cold, they'd be saying, it's cold out there. How do I know? Because the temperature says it's 15 degrees.
Or
Well,
they might still be feeling it just differently. No?
well, that's the question, Layla. What is feeling? And I think if we can get a good definition of feeling, I'll be able to put AI into a better box.
Yeah, so
Because
a lot of
now,
experts are even talking about how their understanding of emotion might very probably surpass our own, and that they might develop types of emotions that are so much more complex that we would never actually understand.
yeah, I think there's part of me sees it as a threat, and part of me sees it as giving us more insight into who we are and what our mind really is, what a mind stream really is. But don't forget, the computer, you unplug a computer and it's completely, well, you unplug it, you kill a human. Well, if you took away all sensory input for a computer, what would happen? When you take away all sensory input for a human, and these are interesting questions. Very interesting questions. I don't know if there's an answer, but I think you're right. We have to be careful not to discriminate. Oh, that's AI.
Yeah, and I'm finding personally, having a little trouble even getting there, and I'm trying to prepare into thinking what are the things that could help me feel compassion.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a movie called I, Robot.
Yes.
And if you think about iRobot, or you read, actually, I encourage you to read the Isaac Asimov short stories,
Yes.
where iRobot came from. In there are humans that say it's just a robot and don't care about their life. And there are other humans that go, it's a sentient, it's essentially a sentient being, and it does have emotions. So I think there's a risk of discrimination because we don't, well, discrimination happens because we don't understand. We're not making the effort to understand. So if I'm going to be find myself discriminating against AI, I need to stop and find out what it is about AI that I don't like. Right now, it's that I don't like the fact that it's going to be thinking at multiple speeds faster than I can. I can say, I can go to Google and I can say, tell me about the Regulus missile. And Google will, without going to AI, Google will wait for me to narrow down what a Regulus missile is. Whereas AI would go, oh, it's a Navy missile from the 1950s and it did this, this, and this, because it's so fast and so widespread and so all-encompassing. So I feel that is a threat just because it can pull in more information more quickly than I can and then make a decision based on that information. So in some cases, it's a good thing when things are a little bit slower. I think most of the troubles in this world, anywhere in the world, the political troubles, come from the fact that it's instantaneous news now. Something happens and it's all over the world. Just
And in terms of past and future lives and what we can, I'm trying to imagine what that would look like for AI, that there might maybe be a form of that for AI, or if it's connected into our network in a way.
yeah.
Or I don't quite know.
Well, here's if AI will always depend on uploading, no matter what level AI is in, it's going to have to be uploaded from something. The material cause for that mind, for the AI mind, has to come from a previous AI mind. And that's going to require uploading. And humans, at least as I understand it, are a continuation. They're not an uploading. They're a continuation of the mind stream. So what's lacking in AI is it's a continuity. If I take file A and put file A into the AI, but I have to manually do that. Whereas for me, for my mind, it comes with the package. So that'll be a difference.
Well, the interesting thing is I've seen that they're able to create something that hasn't been created before when it's prompted to do so. Which I don't know if to think of it as an ability to continue.
Yeah.
And to it's in the search of trying to make AI creative. That's the prompt that they've been given, is to try to, they're given material cause, and then from that they're prompted to come up with something
Right.
that
Well, we have a similar issue. Well, I will have a similar issue. I don't believe I've seen emptiness directly ever, yet I'm going to see emptiness directly, something I've never seen before. So I'm creating from things I do know, I'm creating something I don't know. And I think AI can do that as well. So that's not something AI does that we don't do. We create, every time we eat something, we create this taste sensation that wasn't there before, because that combination of spices or textures is brand new. So we're finding that. I don't think that'll be something that's unique to AI. It'll be powerful because they'll be sifting. AI is going to be sifting through gazillion things to find an answer, and I can only shift through half a gazillion or a third of a gazillion as fast. But that's part of what AI is to me. AI is our minds, but faster. Our creativity, but faster. Because, well, I guess maybe the point you're making is that at some point, the creativity will make something that we did not program into it.
Yeah.
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 Well, It's going to be an interesting ride. I'm not going to be there for as much of it as all you will be, so I'll just have to make sure to touch base when I come back. So my students in South Africa, I have a watch that I particularly like. It's I used to collect watches. It's the only remaining watch. Well, that's not true. I have one other watch in my collection. And my students in South Africa want me to tell them where it's going to be when I die, so they can pick it up and walk around asking people if they know if this watch belonged to them. I think that's pretty funny myself, but
That could be a movie.
yeah, that could be. We could call it The Littlest Sumati.
Yeah. Searching for Sumati.
Searching for Sumati. Okay, let's dedicate. We've done a wonderful thing here. This is a tough class. We have other tough classes coming. The fact that you stuck it out with my not so cognizant teaching sometime is a tribute to your wanting to learn this material. We'll visit this all again in course 13, and I hope I'll do a better job then. But this is a wonderful thing toward helping all beings be free from their suffering. So I congratulate you on that. And let's dedicate this to, may the source of benefit and goodness, the Dharma, spread and expand. May the beings upholding the Dharma have excellent health. May the source of happiness and all well-being for all embodied beings, the Dharma taught by the Buddhas, always increase. O Gurus, Buddhas, Bodhisattva, O Tara, Mother of us all, please listen to what I now say from the depths of my heart. Watch over Tenzin Gyatso, protector of the land of snow. He who is of one taste with Avalokiteshvara, guide him and protect him, that he may live long to bring liberation to his people and the Dharma to all living beings. May all his goals and wishes be achieved. For those of you taking this for credit, I urge you to get your final done sooner than later, like really sooner than later. For those of you that haven't finished your homeworks and quiz, get on with it. Be done as soon as you can so that we can start class again. Now we need to make a decision. It's what, the 20th? You want to start class again a month from now? Give everybody a chance to get their homeworks and quizzes done. That sounds good, Svetlana. How did we? I don't recall how we decided in for course 3. I remember we just picked a day about a month ahead and said we start the next course on that day.
Yeah, as it's better for all, like for me, it's nice when it matches with Lama Sarani courses. Yeah, but as it's better for all students. Months is
So what do you mean by matching?
like schedule ACI 4, ACI
Oh,
5.
so it doesn't overlap her classes. Yeah, she
No,
doesn't. No. Yes.
not overlapping, but like this month ACI 4 with both teachers, and the next month like not in the time slot, but in the months. I mean,
Oh, well, let me see. Let me get to I have a folder that has teaching schedules in it, and I will get to that, and we'll see when she's going to start teaching. Where to go? Teaching calendars, clever folder name. Okay. Working on it. Sarani schedule 2014, 2024. How karma works, June 7th, June to July 14. So she starts how karma works is going to start on the 7th of June. So do we want to start it on the 7th of June?
oh, we can start earlier. Yes, this.
Okay, let me get back to my calendar. I somehow got off my. Okay, there we are. calendar. On calendar. Okay, there's that. Let me get it so I can actually see what I want. There's that. Okay, June. Let's start June 3rd. That's a Monday. And we'll do it again from 10 to 12 on Mondays and Tuesdays, starting with June 3rd. Okay?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Okay, let me just put down here so I don't forget. And that's Roman numeral 5. How karma works. That's a fun class. I think that'll be much more interesting for everybody. Okay. Okay, everybody have a good time off. I'll miss you, but we'll see each other in a little over a month. And get your homeworks and quizzes and finals done, please. If you have any questions in between now and then, just email me. I'll do my best to answer them. Okay. Love you all. Thank you for taking these courses. Thank you for studying the Dharma. And I look forward to all of you being teachers and teaching me as much as I teach you. So that's all I've got to say for today.